Welcome to the social-engineer.org podcast number 67.
67. I know.
That's sad.
It's just not the same without Dave.
You know what happened?
I know what happened.
They don't know what happened.
Okay, tell them what happened.
This podcast was recorded and it was beautiful. And it was awesome. And we had our full panel. Dave was actually here and Ping was actually here.
Ping's always here.
Well, that's true. But except for the last one.
Well,
And the last one when she missed.
I'm so sad.
But, but besides those 2 or 5, that she's always here. And then something happened with our audio feed.
Something happened.
Something happened. We're just going to classify it as something happened, okay? An unidentifiable something happened audio feed. USHAF. And
lots of F.
it did lots of PG, by the way. And it got messed up majorly. And we had to re-record it. So here's what we did. Just to re-record, just for this podcast, we all flew to Orlando.
We are in sunny Orlando, Florida.
Now, when we say all, we mean Michelle and I, and Deviant.
Yeah.
Because he was the guest of the last podcast. Hi, Deviant.
How you doing?
And we didn't have Dave or Ping, so we melded those 2 together, and we created Mike.
Hello, everyone.
I'm so happy to
This
be
sounds
here.
just like the 2 of them.
Isn't it?
They had a baby.
If
That's
Dave
their
and
voice.
Ping had a baby, it would be like Mike.
I'd like to see the picture of that.
I would not. And I don't think Aaron would like that. And right now, but Dave's uncomfortable even talking about it.
Yeah, he's getting all red.
Yeah, he's getting all red because he only is awkward with guys. Definitely not with girls. So anyhow, I screwed up majorly. The auto feed got borked and we had to re-record. So Dave and Ping couldn't make it because it is literally 10 p.m. Eastern time. We're in Orlando live in a hotel room, in Michelle's hotel room. It's 7,000 degrees in this hotel room.
And we're drinking scotch.
And we're drinking scotch, which is the first time we ever do that on the podcast. And we're going to try to accomplish this in a reasonably semi-professional fashion while being able to see each other.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah, okay. So we're going to try. So let's do our normal opening stuff. We got a bunch of stuff. First of all, let's do the important one. Our book got done.
Woo!
It's over.
No sound effects from Dave.
No, Dave had all these sound effects, clapping and guns. Now, you see? It is. It's like the Dave Ping baby. It is the Dave Ping baby.
Congratulations, guys.
Hey, you know what? Your name's not Mike. Your name is Ding. You're the Dave Ping baby.
I don't know if I want to be called Ding.
You're Ding. Or you're Pave.
I think you're going to hear from Ping on this one.
That's if Ping listens to the podcast. I'm not sure if she does.
She does.
Okay.
She will now.
Yeah.
Someone will tell her.
Darn, Deviant's going to call her and tell her to listen to this one, and then I'm going to be dead. There will be 35% less heart in my chest by next month. So anyway, we finished the book. So there is absolutely only one more chapter I'm supposed to edit and send in, which is the final chapter. And then it's in. And then it's done. We just finished our Orlando class, which, I don't want to put any pressure on future classes, but this was one of the best classes we ever had as a company. And it was the students, and it was Ding and Pave were there, so it was awesome. We have tons of future stuff happening. What's the future stuff?
The next future thing is RSA.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I guess it's SourceCon before RSA.
Yeah, SourceCon. Well, so let's just put it this way. Michelle's got like 17,000 speeches in between now and August.
Yeah, it's basically what I was complaining about. It's like being a rock star without the music, without the drugs, without the sex, without much anything other than the travel.
And the income.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot.
Seriously. But yeah, so Michelle is traveling around the universe speaking all over. And also I am. I'll be in literally the universe. Like I'll be in Russia. That's a different part of the universe than here. I'll be in the Russia with you, Deviant.
Yes, sir.
We'll be at, what's the name of that? PH?
Positive Hack Days, yeah.
Positive Hack Days, PH Days. And I don't know, if Ping were here, she'd be like, say all the dates, jerk, and tell all the prices. But I can't do it. She's not here.
We're sitting here in a hotel room drinking scotch, doing a live podcast. So
Those things are occurring.
we're just not thinking quickly on our feet.
Positive Hack Days is late May.
See, thank you. There we are.
24th, 25th, thereabouts.
Yep, that is 100% accurate. I'm going to say venture, it's actually 25th, 26th, 27th maybe. That's happening. And then and we have another class in Bristol, May 11 through 15, actually. We are almost 65% full, I think, the last time I
My
checked.
neck of the woods. I should sign up.
Bristol, UK?
Oh, I thought you meant Bristol, PA.
No, sorry, Bristol.
Right up Route 13.
Man,
son.
Bristol, UK. We got to do one in the UK a year, and I love Bristol. It's like one of my favorite places to go. And you know what? I can't do anymore. I mean, we got DEF CON. Guys, listen, we got a bunch of people asking questions. So we're running the SE Village, and there's speeches, and we have a CFP, and it will remain up until sometime in early May. If you're chosen, you will be told quite quickly, and then it will be in the schedule by June. If you want to be part of the CTF, then you need to sign up now, because that also will be ending in mid-May. And then we will be picking the contestants, and you're getting your targets in early June. So you have between now and May to get all this stuff in. The exact dates will be put on the website at some point. But you got to get that stuff in now, because we literally have the page for the CTF signups has been hit over 75,000 times already. 75,000 times.
And something to keep in mind, guys, this year, is just like last year, we want to see those video submissions. We want to know what you look like and what you sound like and why you should be a part of it. We're excited to see those.
We have a few of those in already. We have quite a few signups for the CTF, quite a few CFPs sent in, so we're ready for DEF CON. And we just put our quest in for DerbyCon. So I will say that, DerbyCon, because Dave was here. He would be mentioning DerbyCon,
In September.
which is in September.
Let's see, 23rd, 24th, 25th?
Yes. So training will be 23rd, 24th. And then the con starts 25th, 26th, 27th. So if you haven't been to DerbyCon and you're sitting there at your house and you're like, is there one con I should check out? Like one, right? You've been there since the beginning, right?
Yeah, DerbyCon's the new DEF CON.
It is, right? It's the con where you go and everyone feels good and no one feels left out. It's just a great, great conference that's really comfortable and not scary.
Yeah.
And you'll learn a lot. So if you haven't been to any conference, 23rd, 24th is training. If you can't come to training, go 25th, 26th, 27th up September out in Louisville, Kentucky, and you got to go to derbycon.com. You get all the details there. Last year was just phenomenal. So I imagine this year is going to be even better, because Dave and the crew just keep making it.
All your hacker friends that told old stories of times gone by, DerbyCon is the new DEF CON, because DEF CON became Black Hat.
And think about what's going to happen in like 10 years from now when DerbyCon is.
Where's Black Hat?
Yeah, not when it's training
that's never going to happen.
No, but I mean when it gets to like the size and big, and we're all sitting there going, I remember when we had 2,000 people in a hotel in Kentucky, and we're talking like old guys, Yeah. Remember when we went to Kentucky with no shoes on, uphill both ways, something like that. I don't know.
And 3 feet of snow.
No, it's never snowed in September. And if you don't go for any of that, you can go to meet Deviant this year.
Yeah, I'm always there.
Or you can go for one of the best bourbon ales I've ever tasted in my life. So if none else motivates you, you have that.
Yes, absolutely.
At least. Okay. So now normally is here where we're like, hey, let's get our guest on, blah, blah, blah. Then we pause and then we get the guest on. But he's already here helping us out. So our topic was going to be about physical security and why it's important, especially in the light of all the breaches that we see. So we see all these breaches, Target, Home Depot, Staples. The last year, the list can Anthem, the list can just go Sony, the list can go on and on. And the question comes up all the time with us in our client base saying, why is physical security important? Do I really need to worry about this? We don't really see news reports of hackers getting in, walking through the front door. So why is it important to consider physical security? Now, I realized that the last time I did the same exact thing. I jumped right into the questions. And then Ping said, hey, just because you know Deviant doesn't mean everyone else on Earth knows Deviant. So why don't you intro him like a normal guest? And I'm like, oh. So Ping, if you're listening, I want you to know your words are ringing in my ears right now. And I'm going to back up from that question and say, Deviant, tell us about yourself first and what you do and who you are. And
yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming.
Who I am is the guy across the room from you with a scotch in his hand. So I'm in good shape here.
That is true.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
So I've been doing physical security work in one form or another for a while now. Starting around 2000 is the first time I really made the beginnings of the leap from InfoSec to the physical world. It's a hobby for many of us in the hacker community and in the tech community. You see people into lock picking just as this sort of forbidden knowledge that they, oh, is that possible? I want to learn that. It's no different than people who are really into auto hacking or firearms or any other passions that a lot of us share. But for me, it becomes real when you just see it in front of you. And the Hope conferences in New York, run by 2600, the Dutch sport picker group sent people over, and they have, since almost the beginning of the hacker world, they've really been speaking about lock sport. But Bobby Wells and some of his associates, Hans came with him once, a gentleman from the US, Mike Glasser, was with him at H2K2. Those were really the first time that a lot of US audiences in the hacker world not just read about lockpicking, but saw lockpicking, like saw it done. And it's, you've got to pick your jaw up off the floor, and it became so real. Like, this is something I could actually get good at, not just play with.
What year was this around?
2000 and 2001 were the two really big watershed
14,
moments
15 years ago.
for a lot of us. Yeah. 2000 and 2002, because Hope is every other year. So those 2 years, those two appearances really lit a fire under a few of us, myself included. And when Mike Glasser appeared at DEF CON, I had gone home. I was this guy who watched his whole 2.5 hour session, and I bought all the stuff, because back then it was hard to buy things online. You had to fake some letterhead and, write some really nice things in an email and a form. Okay. And maybe I'm actually a locksmith. Cross my fingers, I swear. But, I bought some picks, I bought some tools, I bought some locks, and I'd started to learn this, and it was just so much fun and entertaining and knowledge. When Mike was at DEF CON, he's giving a talk at DEF CON about lockpicking. And he's a character. If you don't know Laz, he's on, I like locks, let's pick some locks, and who wants to drink beer with me because I like beer. So I'm this kid. I ran out to the hallway. I don't even know if I was 21 yet, but I bought a beer and ran back into the room and was like, here you go, man, like right up on the stage, like handed it, put it on the edge of the stage. He will bring it up here, put it on the table. So I did. And he's like, thanks, kid. I was like, no, thank you, because I watched you at New York and with Bari, and you showed me how to pick, and because of you, I learned how to pick. And it's the middle of his talk, and I'm just talking to this guy on stage. That's the old DEF CON, kids. You don't get that anymore. And so he's like, well, sit up here with me, man. Pick some locks. So he throws a chair up on stage, and he tosses locks at me. And I got some open, and when the audience cheers, and you're like, oh, man, this is some baller stuff. So that's when it really became a dedicated passion of mine. And eventually, this sort of, for many of us, you sort of trip forward into a new career path, right? And the physical side was once just a hobby, and then it became like something I would augment in my general InfoSec work, where you're walking around the client site and you say, boy, this is pretty bad. Or you're with a client that didn't even want a security assessment. You're just fixing something like, we fired our sysadmin, and we need you to come in and root the server. We got to get in. I'm like, okay, well, is his door open? Like, what about this wiring closet? And, we don't have the keys for that. I said, well, do you want me to open that? And clients are like, they're amazed when they pop it open.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, you could fix that pretty easily. It's because this, and this. And then you start realizing people will pay money for the consulting field of why is my physical security terrible?
Yeah.
And a buddy of mine named Bobak had this small consulting outfit that he had started, the core group, and he said, I really want to try to take this off in a big way. And you're the most responsible guy I know, which is saying something about his friends. But he said, I'd like to come east, and I'd like to really, really do this with you. So the core group has been around for about half a decade now, just doing mostly physical side focus, either electronic locks, mechanical locks, safes, you name it, but
so
physically breaking in.
Before you started with just getting interested in lock picking, what was your skill set?
My skill set could be described as enthusiastic hobbyist.
Okay. Because I have a methodology for this question, because we get asked this a lot. So from the point of you being just an enthusiast, someone who was hobbyist and was interested, to where you felt, hey, I actually can do this for a living. What is your time span?
1 year.
Because that is so encouraging, because you'll get these guys and gals, these kids out there that think, oh my God, I'm going to need 20 years to get to deviant level. And you're sitting here saying it took you 1 year to go from...
To feel like it.
Right. Yeah. But that's half of the battle.
Yeah.
Because, we beat ourselves up constantly with, I don't know if I can be good enough at this or that. And then you do it and you realize, hey, wait, I am as good as I might not think I am, It
was the next year after that I submitted a talk to the very first ShmooCon. And Heidi and Bruce and their crew, for
About
some reason,
lockpicking.
accepted my talk. So that was the first time on a stage actually speaking about it, and people really responded well, and I
Yeah.
really loved it. And I was just so happy that I got to meet this community.
Mm.
I met some people who knew the Dutch guys, like Mouse and Eric and some other people from New Jersey of all
Mouse,
places.
I love that.
Yeah.
girl. Man, she is amazing.
She came up to me after the talk and she said, "Oh, that was so great. You were great to teach up there." And we're playing with some locks in the hallway. She said, have you ever heard of Tool? And I said, "Oh yeah, like the locks worker. I know that. It's great." She's like, "Well, Barry Wells said we could start Tool in US, and it's far away from DC. It's way up in New Jersey." I said, "I happen to be from New Jersey. Tell me more." So that's when the first really running Tool chapter started.
That's
at
awesome.
Princeton University.
So Mouse was the introductory to you
Yeah.
being in, like, because when I think of Tool here, I think of you. I mean, I know that's probably, I don't want anyone, in Germany to be upset hearing that, but that's literally like when I ever looked up Tool, it was always Deviant, and then I remember the first time I reached out to you with the first kids CTF,
Yeah.
and I was
fun.
like, "Hey, dude, I need some help because I kind of suck at this, and I need a lock that kids can pick
Mhm.
that isn't going to send them like over the edge of a bridge." And, you recommended this lock, and then I get it. So this is before you work with me, right, Michelle? I get the lock, and I'm spending like 3 hours breaking this stupid thing, and I'm like, "He said this was good for kids. What's wrong with this? I'm breaking." And I email him, I'm like, "David, I got that lock thing you're telling me about 3 hours." And he's like, "Are you using what was the thing? It looks like tweezers."
Oh, I told you to use a wishbone turner tool.
Yeah. Using a wishbone. And I'm like, "No, what's that?" And he sends me a picture, and I'm like, "I have one of those. I didn't use it." I used that in like 10 seconds. The lock's open. I'm like, "No!" He probably could have heard my scream down in Philly from where I was, That's like 3 hours of frustration. I was like raking until my fingers bleed,
Made the
Nothing.
victory that much sweeter. For
Yes,
you.
it did. It did. But that was awesome. That's when I met you, and I was like, Tool is Deviant.
Well,
That's all
Tool
Mouse's fault.
Tool is way more than me, believe me. There's a whole board of people on the director side, and we have volunteers and chapters, and it's got to be almost 24 cities now.
That's awesome. So lock picking from this side, so now locksmithing.
Right.
But lock picking from this side has obviously become more than just for enthusiasts and hobbyists. So when a client calls you and they want you to come in, at least, and maybe this is a question we can answer, there's a big difference between what I call social engineering, impersonation work, breaking into a building, acting as someone else, red teaming, and then physical security. Would you agree that those three things are a big difference?
Yeah, absolutely. They're from different vectors, but the end goal is get yourself somewhere you don't belong or get access to a thing you shouldn't have. And whether you're doing that with a digital electronic attack or a physical mechanical attack or a social human attack, they're all three paths that all roads lead to Rome.
So when you do your physical stuff, are you doing, do they know you're coming? Is it one of those things where, hey, I'm going to be out here trying to pick this lock so don't bother me? Or are you doing, I'm going to come in at night when the guards are walking around the other side of the corner and try to pick that lock?
It varies. It depends on what the client is interested in doing. So I think you probably have this depending on, everyone has their own services framework and they define it their own way. But most people in the industry tend to have we will come in like ninja this place and the local staff is unaware. That sort of high tier package. Usually at that point, it's a mature security program or someone in management is trying to make a point. Or you have, we might call that an audit or red team audit. But you might also have a lesser tier, like an assessment, where the client says, look, the client says, we don't want to pay for all of that recon, the nighttime hours, the overtime. We just want to know how good this X is. And you just kind of walk up to it and bang on it, and you give them a report.
Yeah.
And they both have their place. Again, and I don't want to take money out of my pocket, yours, or anyone else in this industry, but a lot of us who are doing red teaming, when the jobs come in, we just ask the client, we're like, are you sure? What's your history with this site? So you've never done, what's your training program at this site? You've done nothing. You don't want this. You don't want a red team. You want me to test your cardboard box with a shotgun.
So
why am I even doing
We can
that?
tell you up front, it will fail.
Yeah.
There will be holes in it when we are done.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the same thing. And I don't think it's money. I think actually in the long run, in my opinion, when you do that with a client, because we have done that before too, they look at you and go, okay, we can trust this guy because he didn't try to just take the big payday.
Yeah.
And then they come back to you when it's all said and done and go, hey, we think we fixed A through Z.
Exactly.
Now come and do the whole scary shotgun test.
A red team is for a mature security program to be tested.
Yeah, that's happened to us multiple times on both the phishing and the impersonation side where companies will sit there and say, we'll tell them, yeah, you're just not ready for that,
And every once in a while, though, you get those clients that somebody is just very intransigent. Somebody says, no, that's not our weakness. It's infeasible. How impossible.
Yes.
And you get some other VP being like, all right, you guys go green lighting this. Make a point.
So how often do you get into a place where you see them like $500,000 worth of servers and IDS systems and IPS systems and anything under the sun, brand new, flux capacitor sitting in the server room, and it's a like $15 Walmart lock that's protecting the
yeah.
the kingdom.
We won't say quite that bad. Commercial environments will tend to have something that you might just not pick up at a hardware store. But there's still, we call it off the rack. It's people just getting a contractor saying, well, I've got to put this front door lock. Well, that's the Adams Right strike latch. And then I've got to put this server cage. Okay, that's the True Wire cage. And just, you say, okay, I've seen this at every other data center in the world. And this is how you bypass it. This is how you attack it. Go.
So I know a lot of the things I saw in your recent speeches and things that you have talked about have been about elevators.
Yeah.
And the reason that comes to my mind, I was just in the elevator with you, and right away you were telling me the locks and how we can make this elevator go anywhere we want it.
Yeah.
I automatically thought about it, instead of going up and down, like sideways would be cool. So I was just wondering, how often do you get asked to test elevators in your scope?
More and more. For those who are curious, what we saw in the elevator here was a Schindler job, which was not broken, surprisingly, which is usually the case with a Schindler job. And because we are in Florida, it is not the SC1000 key controlling the fire service mode. It is actually the regional Florida keys, which are Medico keys. And we're probably in zone 5, I think, here in Orlando.
I'm already afraid.
Okay, we spent 13 seconds in the elevator, and you're telling me that you know all of that from the ride from floor 1 to floor 6?
Oh, yeah. I knew it when we walked in the cab. I saw the fixtures right away.
I'm taking the stairs from now.
Yeah.
Square buttons, slightly rounded corners on the white, slight concavity with a little bar indicator LED above them. Yeah, the Schindler fixture.
Oh, yeah. Not at all.
So how many buildings have you gone in where you're not able to just, most of us, we interact with an elevator, we tell it where to go and it goes there. But how many buildings have you seen where it's not that simple? You need a credential, a badge, certain floors
All
are
the
locked
time.
out at night.
Like SE pen test where we had to get in was exactly that. The elevator, you need a special badge to get to the sea level.
Yeah. That's what we do. With the elevators are systems like any other that are designed to operate one way for most users, but have maintenance backdoor. We wouldn't call them backdoors, but think of a server with a maintenance backdoor account enabled. There are maintenance controls on an elevator. There are special service modes on an elevator, not to mention safety of life considerations on an elevator.
Yeah.
So emergency modes of operation, which you can trigger. You can override normal operation in automatic mode and trigger safety mode, safety recall, fire recall, and then control that elevator as though you were an emergency responder. We don't recommend this, but you can,
So
you can go anywhere.
if I open that little panel you're saying, and I'm in one of these elevators that has a special badge to get to, when I open that panel, there's something in there that will allow me to go past that little badgey system.
So there's a very strong likelihood that if an elevator has a locked panel, behind that panel, you might see the fire service controls, which that's like the end-all, be-all atom bomb. You don't want to use that if you don't have to. On most pen tests, we tell people, look for the independent service mode. If you can find a key switch or a control switch for independent service, it takes the elevator out of the group. The elevator doesn't get dispatched to other hall calls. So if you have a bank of 8 elevators, 7 are now servicing the demand in the building. 1 is now your personal elevator. And that elevator will only go where you tell it. It won't go elsewhere. It'll stay with its door shut. No one can call it. I've hidden in elevators for hours, just waiting for everyone to go home. I wheeled a chair in there once.
Did we mention what we're doing in Orlando?
We were here in training, right?
We're doing like a SE team building exercise. We flew Deviant down and our whole team, and we're doing your physical course. Your physical, what's the name of it? I should probably get it right.
Physical penetration testing.
Yeah. So our whole team is doing this course. And now I'm like, I was looking forward to it, of course, before, but now even more so with this whole hiding in elevators for hours bit.
Oh, yeah.
That's going to be awesome.
A lot of elevators even have a little power panel. They have like an outlet in there. So I plugged my cell phone in once and just played indie games on my phone, waiting for the company to all go home. And then I drove it down back to the lobby, let all the team in, and then it was still on independent mode. So we drove it up to the data center level and opened the doors there, all with no badge.
So how do you not just like go into places and play for hours when you? No, I'm just kidding.
Well, that's the thing, right? I mean, that's a valid question. I think that's the outsider question for this industry. A lot of people will say, You
How do
see
you
that
not go
stupid
evil?
joke in bars. Oh, you must make a great crook, right?
Uh-huh.
You can talk to the best like mountain climber and say, boy, you must be able to just scale up a side of a building. And they'll be like I probably could, but I wouldn't.
Yeah.
If I don't have my rigging, like I
Yeah.
would be scared of dying. I got kids, you know?
Yeah.
Same thing with us. Yeah, we would make great thieves if it weren't for that whole getting caught thing.
And having a family and liking to be
Yeah.
out of jail.
The fact we do our job well because you know you can be so brazen and bold when you know you're not going to jail.
Yeah.
And it's ironic is having that gravitas, having that brashness is what gets you through most jobs.
You know, and that's an interesting point because we just did a fishing job this past week, and once you get the paper signed and I push the go button on my team, they turn into like monsters.
Yeah.
Because you know that breaking into this whatever, healthcare, bank, whatever it is, you're not going to jail for doing it because they paid you to do that.
Mm-hmm.
There is a big difference in that attitude when you know that you can do it without.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that is true. I agree with that 100%.
And it makes the client's value so much better because a normal criminal would get in and get out as fast as they could through whatever
Yeah.
vector was easiest. I mean, we could be ghosts if we want on a building, but we'll try to stick around for hours at night. We start intentionally setting off door alarms. We start, waving at security cameras. Like, look at me. I once found a whiteboard, took it off a wall, and in this big marker, I wrote, I shouldn't be here, and waved it in front of the camera for a while. And then walked away and left it in front of the camera, just saying that, love you, red team. Because at that point, we had been to this same client multiple times in multiple cities. And we're like, we've got to find a way to make the mousetrap trip. We're jumping up and down on the cheese. The client, it was way better value for them. They said, wow, we knew it was bad. We didn't know it was this atrocious.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting.
So do you have a top horror story that people should take note of? Surely you do. With all that.
Sure. So it's the best standard story we can give. This is the other popular thing that people like to tell you. They either say, you'd be a great crook, or they say, have you ever gotten caught? There's that one. So the closest we've ever come was me, actually on one job. There was a tech firm that had hired us to hit all of their development facilities. So a lot of hardware development work going on. So Bobak was in heaven. Babak's our hardware guy he makes custom, badge reader cloners, and he's an electronics genius. In fact, one time, it's really interesting talking about, what if someone's a criminal. People like to joke about us robbing banks, but the things you see in these tech giant centers, his actual words one night, he's like, wow, screw knocking over a bank. Because you're looking at hundreds of thousands of dollars of oscilloscopes and development gear and dev kits and probe kits all on carts we could wheel. We wheeled one out of the building, took a photo of us in the parking lot, and wheeled it back.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one tech firm had us hitting all these offices, and we're getting a little more brash each time, trying to interact with staff more, trying to go during the day, not during the night. And this one office, the local gentleman who was the head, because usually you get one manager on site who might know what's up. And in a good test, upper management says, your job is to not be there. Your job is to not answer the phone. Because you got this on social engineering, I bet. When you call the front secretary and you say, hi, I'm here with the delivery of blah, the person she's supposed to call for authorization, in a good test, they will be out to lunch for 6 hours.
Yeah.
If she just calls them, they're going to say, well, I don't know this person. It's the bigger question is, what is your front desk staff? What does he or she say if they can't reach management? So we always say that person who knows what's happening and is authorized, they should go home at 5 and they should go about their normal business. This guy was having none of it. This guy, he was sticking around. He knew about us. And he was like, I've heard what you did in Tulsa. I heard what you did in North Dakota. I heard what you did in Texas. You're not doing that in Georgia. And he stuck around, right? He was walking around the building. And we didn't know. We already were in. We had broken in through one door and SE'd through another place and used the elevator. We're sitting in a meeting room, just waiting for people to go home. And it's funny because, people are sticking their heads and we're like, oh, we reserved it on the internal calendar, which we actually did. Bobak had popped the network and marked on the calendar.
We
have
actually
meeting room
did.
7.
That's epic.
Yeah. We're I'm sorry, we have this room right now, sir.
You actually reserved
But at one point, I actually got hungry. I was like, I'm going to go bring some sushi back or something. I'm going next door. And as I'm walking through the hallway, you guys all have the get out of jail letter, right? I don't know if you do this. We keep the real one buried super deep, and we keep a fake one in our pocket.
Yeah.
If you're ever challenged, The real one, obviously, for those of you who don't know in the industry, a real get out of jail letter should say, this is a test. This is person supposed to be here. Contact person X or person Y. Use your internal company directory. Once verified, do not tell anyone else. Thank you for participating in security. Well, our fake letter is like, this is a test. Believe everything this person says.
Mhm.
Call this number if you have any questions.
Mhm.
And that's the one in our pocket, right?
Yeah.
So I'm walking down the hall, and turns out the head of security for that branch walks right by me. And I, hey, how you doing? I mean, that was almost the extent of my interaction. Hey, how you doing? And he spins on his heels, comes marching back, grabs my arm. He says, I need to know what you're doing here. And, I said, I'm here from Odin. We're with the Greener Offices Initiative. This is our favorite social engineering top story, by the way. We're with the Green Energy Plan. We need to make sure that all of your, it's the catch-all excuse.
Yeah.
I need to make sure all your monitors are going off at night. It gives me an excuse to go into every office,
Yep.
to touch every computer. Why am I here till 4:30 and 5 and 6 and 7? Well, I need to make sure the power saving. You didn't have these new bulbs at night. I had the whole thing. I had a fake, I'm here from Odin, and this is what blah, blah, blah. And he literally, without even missing a beat, he goes, I don't think you are. I think that's a lie, and I think you're going to jail. I'm calling the cops.
Ooh.
So I said, all right, this is clearly something's very wrong here. And I started to reach in I pulled the letter, the fake letter, mind you, about halfway out of my pocket. And he says, put it away. Very sternly. Holy crap. Looking for Bobak. I'm like, we might have a situation here. The guy just leans in. I heard what you did at Tulsa. Don't think you're getting away with that in my facility. Turns around and walks out. So his awareness of the test not only colored his interaction with everyone he was probably bumping into that day, like threatening them, but then he didn't verify anything about me, and he just left. So
After he had threatened to have you arrested,
he just walked away.
he left you in the building.
Yeah, he didn't do anything. He just left at night because he was like, I've done my job. I got him. That was his shtick. He wanted to be the guy to catch the guys.
But he didn't stop you.
But he didn't stop anything. So I leave it to the listening audience, like it's in the Coliseum, thumbs up or down and covered. Like, do you think that's a getting caught or a not? I don't know. I mean, yes, I got caught by a guy who actually got caught because he knew the test was happening and then didn't follow procedure when he caught us, quote unquote. That's my best horror story I can give. For those 2 seconds, I didn't know what was happening when he's screaming about cops.
Like, Michelle and I got caught once. The way we got caught was he wrote a number on the back of one of our fake business cards.
Uh-huh.
And we were supposed to get our names, our fake names, put on this list to get entry. And when we came back, they called their internal security, and the security called, and they thought we had wrote it. So they actually had us do signatures on a white piece of paper and verified that our signatures were not matching. So they thought they had caught us. So we basically just said, yeah, we're sorry, you're mistaken. Your security guy signed that paper, not us. And they let us go.
Mm-hmm.
So, they counted it as a win, but we got out and then got in the building another way. So we go, that was great, but you didn't stop us from attacking. You just stopped us from that second.
Right.
We still ended up in your mail room, and we still ended up in the sea level, and we still ended up everywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't stop us,
Oh, yeah.
We were still loose banging around in the building for
Yeah.
hours after that.
Yeah. So it's I agree with you. It's to me, that would be a thumbs down. It's if you want to stop, what he should have done is pushed it and said, I'm calling the cops and then you would have had to produce a letter, and then he would have escorted you out of the building and said, okay, you guys got caught. Otherwise, I mean, I did the same thing once. We always keep a fake letter, and I took their get a jail free letter, I scanned it, cut the middle out.
Yeah.
Right. So I had the header and the signature.
Mm-hmm.
And I basically put a thing on there that said, if you catch this guy, you're one of the elite security.
Nice. Very nice.
Please put your name and badge number on this list, as you will be rewarded. Escort this man to any location in the building he says he needs to also test, and tell no one else. So this guy catches me, and I pull this letter out, and Git's chest comes out. He writes his name and badge number on the thing, and he's like, I'm one of the elite. And I'm like, yes, you are, sir. And he's like, where do you need to go?
I'm stealing that.
I need to go to the SOC.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay. And I'm like, but listen, you can't tell anyone. That's what it says. And he's like, my lips are sealed. He's badging me through all these doors I would have never got through. Bam, we're walking I hear 70 being down, and we're walking through, right? We get into the thing, and he's like, hey, Bob, listen, I authorize this man to be in this room. And Bob's like, okay. And he's like, lets me in the room, and I'm like, holy crap, I can't believe that worked.
That's wonderful.
Right? Yeah. Steal that.
Oh my God, I will.
Yeah. It works amazing because they feel very validated.
Oh, yeah.
They are the elite that caught you. right? And they're going to get a reward for it, too.
Oh, yeah.
And at the end, we told them, we said, listen, the reason that worked is, there should have been a protocol that says anytime you catch someone, regardless of what they tell you, they get escorted out of the building, not into the building.
Yeah.
When we were on the perimeter, you escorted us into the sanctum.
Yeah.
Escort us outside, not into it, They implemented that. It doesn't work anymore. So it doesn't matter what you put in the letter.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's exactly how it should be. Yeah, that's interesting. So it's, what's fun, what's always is fascinating to me, talking to people like you and others who do this kind of pen testing, like let's say Dave or things, is how similar all of our war stories are, but from a different angle. Dave is much the network pen tester with SE, and you're definitely SE and physical focused. How do you think hacking shows affect your business? Do they affect you at all?
Oh, man. So you're referring to hacking shows, meaning popular culture, TV and stuff.
Yeah.
So, dare we say a word like Scorpio?
Oh my God. I can't believe you said it. I said PG here, okay? Yeah. I said PG.
Yeah. I don't have a TV, but even I know how bad that show is. So I think it affects us much in the same way that, CSI and Law and Order shows affect people on the job. It sets a higher level of respect for the industry with the lay public, but it also sets incorrect and untechnically feasible expectations on their part.
I've never heard, and all the people I've asked that question, never heard the CSI analogy, and that's a great comparison. I get this from our industry, too, because of shows like that. Oh, you can do... No, I'm sorry, I cannot drive a Ferrari underneath an airplane while Michelle plugs a serial cable into the bottom of the airplane flying at very low altitude. We can try. But first I need a Ferrari, and I need a plane with a serial cable hanging out from the bottom, and I need a long enough runway where you can actually hang from my Ferrari while plugging serial cable in.
I'm willing to give it a shot.
Okay. So if there's any clients out there that would like to give us a Ferrari and an airplane to try this, Michelle and I are game. Yes. And Dave, you in?
Of course.
Okay, so we'll bring Davian on the way, and all three of us, you get the 3-for-1 special. We'll hack an airplane.
Nice.
Okay.
So Dave, we've been looking forward to your course, and by the time the podcast is out, we will have already completed it. But give us a little preview. All of our listeners are going to be really excited to hear about this. So tell us what's going to be included in the course.
Right on. Well, I'll give you the unsexy summary at first. The way we describe it.
No, we want the sexy summary.
Well, literally, though, you can spend your life being a specialist in any number of different physical security fields, and you'll know everything there is to know, about, let's say, safes. Or some people will study their whole lives just to do key impressioning. And there's guys in the bureau that was their thing. There was Ed Tickle. If you've never heard of Ed Tickle, he was someone who worked with the intelligence agencies, and that was his thing, was impressioning, and no one else did it but him. Our job is to teach people who are not exclusively physical security attackers how to get through most of the doors most of the time. Because if you can't get through some target obstacle in 5, maybe 10 minutes, you are wasting your time on a job as a pen tester. You're wasting your time and the client's time. There's another avenue, there's another vector, find it and do that. I want to give you the ability to get through most physical obstacles most of the time. And by giving people an overview of things like, plain old lockpicking, but then you have some quick entry attacks that are a little dirty, like bumping and snapping. You have the advanced thing, like impressioning, that used to be only something that people in very spooky jobs knew how to do. We cover impressioning. We cover a little bit of safe dial manipulation, at least in theory. We have a whole separate module for that if you want to get into it later. We talk about electronic locks and some of the small weaknesses that you might be able to do on common ones. But then again, electronics is a whole separate section later. It sounds like I'm preaching to the choir, and I know I am. We have a small, few slides on social engineering. And then it's the idea that here's an art. It's a golf bag, right? Yeah. You can give someone a really nice set of golf clubs, and they're not going to be an expert golfer for every lay of the ball. But if you teach them how each club can be swung, and you say, probably something in this bag is going to work most of the times on the course, it gives them the ability to try to do their best in we're not criminals like out of Ocean's 11. We don't have months of recon.
Oh, I thought this was an Ocean's 11 Mission Impossible. I thought we were going to do that this class.
We are pen testers. We have to get in and get out in the time and budget. And a lot of people forget that. A lot of people like to build this massive toolkit of thousands and thousands of dollars and say, I'm going to go away to Lockmasters Technical Institute and have 8 weeks of courses.
Yeah.
Guess what? you're not a pen tester at that point. You are probably a specialist with the military, or you're a specialist in a police field. You're not the person that we are. We need to get in most places quickly, do the job, and get gone.
Yeah.
And that's what this
You
course
do all
is about.
that and use a shove knife and you get through it anyway.
Yeah, there's a huge section on bypassing in our course.
Right.
And on most jobs, I can pick an impression and bump a lot of other attacks. Most locks, most jobs, I'm bypassing those locks.
Yeah.
It's way faster. And then I come through with the client after we call them. We're like, "Are you ready for the meeting?" And we say, "Yeah, I'm in the meeting room. Come to floor 14." But then we say, "Look, here's how we got in 3 seconds. Would you like to see what else we could do?" And then we walk around and we say, "All right, so this lock, let's squat here. Let me show you how I can pick this. Let me take this lock apart and show you how the mastering in your building can leak information. I could make a master key for this lock. If I didn't know how you were doing this, I could probably do this, this, and this." So yeah, it's the idea of get in as fast as you need to get in, but also be able to identify other weaknesses beyond that.
You ever use, this is totally off the topic, and I don't want to interrupt your flow, but you ever use like an elevator repairman as a pretext to get in?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Not so
I'm
much
just
a
saying,
repairman
like-
as elevator inspector.
Okay, because I'm just saying, like, once I know this, it almost seems like a pretext that I have to use now.
Oh yeah. So you never, obviously, as you guys know from any of your social work, you never want to be a sworn law enforcement. You can't. It's very illegal. As anybody listening at home, you can't do that.
I can get you
But
in
you
some
can
trouble.
get close.
Yes.
You can say, "I work with the courts. I'm a process server." Any of those things. Those are great. Anything that's not a sworn law enforcement person.
Disclaimer, we are not lawyers, and we are not telling you what you can and cannot do.
Yes.
And disclaimer.
Yes, I am not a
Continue.
lawyer. I'm not sleeping with one. Nothing I'm saying constitutes legal advice. Nothing here establishes a legal relationship. But anything to do with yeah, anything to do with regulatory oversight, like we have fire inspector shirts. Why? Because a fire inspector can kind of bluster their way in. They can get around. They can climb in ceiling. What are you doing in the ceiling? Oh, I'm checking your pipe. Drainage. What? Who the heck knows? Elevator inspectors are another great one.
Mhm.
How many people know their elevator inspector personally? Not a lot of facilities. But if two people show up, by the way, you probably noticed this about social engineering. One person shows up with a story, they got to be pretty good and probably will get in. Two people show up wearing the same outfit and with the worst story in the world. Half the time, oh, they're two people and they match. There's something clearly happening.
And
here.
and imagine this. My second person is her.
Yeah.
We get in everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
It just doesn't matter.
So you each have the same ID. You each have a little white hard hat and
Yeah.
say, yeah, we had a call about this. Because also, here's another tip. Everyone in their building hates their elevator. Oh, it's slow. It doesn't go to the right
Yeah.
floor. That the other day, I could have sworn it was faulty. And you say, did you have that? Was your elevator making some strange noises?
Yes, it was.
Newsflash. Every elevator makes strange noises.
You're ruining our future pretext, Devian.
Yeah. But I mean, every elevator needs more parts oil and grease than it's probably getting half the time in a
Yeah.
big city. So you say, yeah, we're coming here to check that out. We want to make sure, we wouldn't want to shut you down. You even kind of, you can spin it up, We wouldn't want you walking up the next 12 floors when you have to go up.
Yeah.
The person's going to say, oh yeah, I don't want to get red tagged.
Yeah. So
And then once you're in the elevator, then boom, take it wherever you're going.
uh-huh.
Nothing illegal about being a fake elevator inspector. As long as you're not fake authorizing the elevator as safe.
Yeah. I mean, as long as you're paid to do the pen test, then you're okay.
Don't
For all
sign
you-
the maintenance control program.
Yes. So when they give you the thing, are we all clear? And you
Yeah,
say
I signed off.
yes,
You're good
and
for
then
6
the
months.
elevator falls and kills 16 people. Yeah, that's not a good sign. So definitely don't sign anything that.
Elevators are actually very, very safe.
Yeah.
I was just going to say something we talked about over dinner is my question to you, Deviant, was do you find people that are sort of naturally adept at this skill, or is it something that if you just practice every day for a year, you get good at? Because I'm wrestling with this myself in terms of, is it something you need to practice every day?
Good
A
question.
bit of both. And yeah, this is where it's a shame Ping is not, we have Ding, but we don't have Ping. I would defer to Ping and talk about firearms. Some people are natural good shooters. These are perishable skills if you don't use them. You hone them and you keep them as sharp as you can. Skill and natural talent get you so far, but practice, and even more so than practice, is I would say experience, which is like practice plus, right?
Yeah.
So experience makes such a difference.
I actually agree with that so much because that's exactly how we designed our courses, was to give you experience, not just reading a book or something.
Mhm.
That I agree with that 100%. I'm sure you do the same thing. You're looking to hire someone.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just someone who read a book or talked on it once, but what experience do you have?
Yeah.
to me is more important than all the letters after your name or the degree that
Yeah.
you may have. Your experience is more important to me than all of those other things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with that philosophy 100%.
Yeah.
Because I think Michelle's point is valid because we get this all the time in the social engineering world. Someone who's not experienced or skilled starting off, can they expect their road to be long and hard and difficult to get to where they feel proficient at picking locks, or can they expect it to be, this will be okay?
Yeah. I think in the right class, which, it's self-serving to say the right class is, my kind of class, but the right class, you should see the light at the end of the tunnel by the end of those 2 days or 4 days.
Well,
You should see that it's possible.
I'll do a sales pitch for you. So we looked for a class, high and low, for our team building exercise, and we chose yours.
Thank you.
Because of what you offer and because of the style of training and what you were training. I will venture to say for those that are listening that we chose your class because of that reason.
Thank you. And I think probably your training methodology has got to be in a similar vein. You can't make someone an expert in 4 days
No.
or 2 days.
Give them a
You can make
foundation.
them capable.
Yes.
And then
That's
they
right.
have to have that spark inside of them that says, I want to practice this.
Yeah.
I want to. If they don't have that, you can't do that to them in 4 weeks.
Yeah.
If they don't have that drive inside of them anyway.
I agree. We had Mike and I were training this week at the same place, and we had this CCNA class right across from us, same building. I mean, we got there at 8:30 in the morning, and they had already been going for at least an hour. We would leave 6 at night, and they were still going. And we were like, what are these guys doing? Like, it had to be painful for them, right? So I think somebody talked to one of the guys, and it was a boot camp, where in essence, the only goal was to pass the cert on Friday.
Oh, really?
So you basically just got pounded with info, and then Friday at noon, you took the cert, and the goal was to pass.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, that is a major difference between that course and ours. Our goal is not to make you pass a cert. Our goal is to make you have a foundation in social engineering so you can be a professional at this career.
That's why all of our students, they don't just get the tools, they get the locks and everything.
Yeah.
So you're supposed to take that home. The course doesn't end when we say goodbye at the end of the last quote day.
Mm-hmm.
Your training is just kind of beginning. Your time with me
Yeah.
in front of you is just ending.
Yeah.
You can always email me, but then you should be taking all of this and practice, and then getting more locks, and then repinning the locks. I make a lot of gun analogies. So on the range, people will do tap rack bang drills where they'll say, "Here, take my magazine and load this up with live rounds, but put one snap cap in there somewhere." And I don't know where it is. So that sometime as I'm shooting this volley, I'm going to get a malfunction, and I have to clear it, reload, and keep continuing. We talked about that with so many students. We say, when you're taking your locks and you've picked them to death and you think you're good with these locks, don't repin them yourself. Give them to your buddy. Give them to him or her at your office who is also in this class. Have them repin the lock and give it back to you. You don't know what's in it.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my god, because that's what a lock is in the real world. You're not picking the lock that you installed on a door on a Target. Somebody else built that lock. Can you figure out where they put the security pins or what they did and still get through it?
Yeah, that's an interesting concept. That's a real interesting concept to us.
Leave them with a mechanism for learning more on their own.
Like, it seems like in this country, in the U.S., increasingly more states are making things like lockpick sets illegal.
That is a fallacy. I know exactly what you're talking. They are making a lot of things more illegal, especially like hacking tools.
Yes.
But fortunately, lockpicks and lockpicking tools. Well, I'll give you the rundown. So you have 3 kinds of states, maybe a 4th if you count Tennessee. You have some states where lockpick tools are completely and blatantly legal because there is no criminal statute dealing with lockpicks expressly.
And that's most states, you're saying?
That is a third of the states. My state among them, Pennsylvania.
Oh,
among
great.
them. They just don't treat lockpicks or anything relating to locks specifically in the law.
Mm-hmm.
There are tons of states. The most common type of state is a state where lockpicks are treated as burglary tools, and the burglary tool statute makes mention of usually very old-timey phrases like key bit and pick lock method and very old grammar constructions. But they also say things like crowbar, monkey wrench, Slim Jim. All of these are burglary tools if, what is the golden word? Drum roll, please. Intent.
Drum roll, Dave.
Yeah, we need a sound. Drum roll.
Yay!
Intent. The letter of the law in most states for burglary tools is intent. If there's demonstrable intent, then
So if they catch you breaking into my house, and you have a
Yes.
crowbar and a monkey wrench and some lockpicks,
yes,
they're
then
going to
you-
go, those are
Exactly.
burglary tools.
Right.
But if they catch you driving down the road,
There are 4 states in the union at this current time. They are, someone's going to say I'm wrong, Mississippi, Virginia, Ohio, and Nevada. Those are the 4 states where mere possession of lockpicks is considered evidence of your criminal intent unless you give an alternate explanation. Now, let's say you sat in a class with a professional training outfit and you said, yes, the core group, I do work in this industry. These are my class issued, blah, blah, blah. That is your counter argument to that.
so if you say I'm a professional pen tester,
Yes.
I need these for my job.
Yeah.
The cops don't tase you and
In those
treat you
4
like,
states, it is an end run around the innocent until proven guilty of our Constitution. The prosecutor has discretion to try to charge someone. But again, we have searched, and I say we, I shouldn't speak as though it's my company doing this, the great legal team of Tool, the sport picking community in America. Tool has researched the laws in all 50 states. They all appear on the Tool website, fully, paraphrased. And Tool's lawyers could only find like one piece of case law where someone was ever charged in a state like that. It was in Mississippi, and it was literally a guy with like TVs and stereos in his car. It was so much
And he
other
had some lockpicks.
extenuating circumstances that they kind of slapped it in there.
right.
The one final state that is the outlier of all other states is Tennessee. Possession of picks in Tennessee kind of falls under this big omnibus crime bill that was passed relating to burglary tools and rogue locksmithing, which is not a problem just for the state of Tennessee. Many big cities, if you ask any proper ALOA accredited locksmith, they'll tell you fake locksmiths are a problem. Calling like an 800 number in the yellow pages for locksmith,
Oh.
you get very shady people who do very shady things and overcharge customers. Tennessee chose to combat this by making any locksmithing, including possession of tools, very, very illegal if you weren't like licensed and bonded. But a common sense reading of even the Tennessee law states this is work for profit. This is trading as a locksmith. We called TSP, we called the state police. We're like, hey, we like are sport pickers and we have, competitions and we do, security talks. Is this illegal? And the guy was like, y'all are some weird folk, boy. But he's like, no, we don't care about you. He's like, well, I'm not, the AG's office will write a clarifying letter to give us carte blanche. But again, most states, the possession of these tools is not illegal unless you're being a jackwagon.
Uh-huh. Right. Actually, that is a huge piece of clear up for us because, like, I kind of heard about this whole Virginia making lockpicks illegal, but
Right.
that's kind of where we stop with it.
Yeah.
That's very interesting to me. So your explanation probably cleared up a lot for our
Yeah.
listeners.
Again, we're not lawyers.
Right,
But
we're
you would
not
be
lawyers.
very fine if you work in the security field and you're not behind a Best Buy at 3 a.m. In Virginia, you're probably fine.
Yeah, and that actually is a big difference, right? Because, I mean, having a lockpick and being caught at some building breaking in without a get out of jail free letter with a lockpick
Yeah.
is a huge difference in
Big,
those
big
two things. Because I carry lockpicks everywhere I go.
Yeah.
But I don't
You do.
I don't ever use them just for fun. Dear God, I mean, that's the hugest set ever. Like, I never saw someone pull something out like that out of their
That's my
pocket.
tiny set.
That's your tiny set.
That's my tiny set.
Okay, I wish we had a video podcast right now, guys.
It started out with my flashlight. I hate when a flashlight slips sideways in a pocket and it gets all banged up and
Uh-huh.
it pinches you. This is an old cigar case. And I took it and I used it so I can drop a flashlight in here. I can drop the lockpicks in here. The other half of the cigar case fits
That's
in.
pretty cool.
It's like a little pocket. So this is pepper spray. I keep my spare magazine in that one. And none of them will spin sideways.
Your spare magazine, but you need a gun for that.
My firearm.
Oh, okay. I think actually this was really fun, considering that we last minute did a live podcast in Michelle's hotel room. Deviant, of course, we always like to give 2 things to our guests. First is we have a ton of people who read, like they're like avid readers, like these guys like
Thank
read
God
everything.
some people are still reading.
Yeah, I'm serious. And here's the thing: a lot of people love to read actual paper.
Mm-hmm.
Not that you have to recommend an actual paper book, but are there any books that you would recommend in the idea of the field that we've been talking about nonstop?
So, like on this topic of physical security and lockpicking, there was one person. What was his? Oh, it was me. I forgot.
Oh, could it be Deviant
Oh.
Olaf?
My God, thank you. So it's very nice.
Oh, that's
Thank
right.
you.
We didn't get a chance.
We
to
didn't
go
get a
over
chance,
that
but I
this
wanted to
time.
look smart,
We
Michelle.
need to
I
clarify
wanted to
this.
look
No,
smart.
no.
I wanted to look smart that I said his name right.
We
You
need to
did. You said it
clarify.
perfectly.
We
Thank
need to
you.
clarify this for the audience because it's been going around for years now. So
Ollam is not pronounced Olam.
yes.
not.
Please teach us.
Yes.
It is pronounced Olaf or Olav. You could think of it as like OLAF or OLAV.
What language, first of all, is the name?
Celtic.
And an M sounds like a V or F.
It sounds like a V or a F. Yeah.
Yeah, a V or a F. A F is a letter. Okay, it's a F.
The V
A, B,
or a
C,
F.
D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M,
So
N.
now we know. I'm glad
Yes.
you brought that up though because I think that was a really important.
It is.
information.
Yeah, because, I mean,
We're
first of
giving
all,
away. See, I used it as like a very personal like shibboleth for all my years. If somebody comes up to me, oh, Deviant Olam, you're that great guy. I'm like, that's cool, man. How you hear about me? You never really hung out with me, do you? But like, if someone says, oh, Deviant Olaf, like, I really, I wanted to tell you something. I'm like, now I'm kind of all ears because clearly this person is a little bit closer to me or knows somebody who knows me or knows me.
and what do we call that in psychological? Rapport building, right? Using the right name.
Absolutely.
Okay, so obviously you have how many books out?
I have 2 books.
2 books. Give us the names.
Practical Lockpicking was my first book. Shane Lawson was my awesome tech editor and the Singris crew. It was right around the time Singris was kind of undergoing a little bit of turmoil in the industry. And they gave me final cut on that book. And I love them for it. They've been kind of courting me for a while. And I said, yes, I will write a book for you, but I get final cut. This is my baby. I've never written a book. And if I want to put like, something profane right in the middle of the book, by the way, I won't do that. But like, I like
You
to
wanted
say,
the permission to
I
do
wanted
it.
permission to, and I
Yes.
think I love ellipses. People don't think
Mhm.
ellipses are professional. I love ellipses occasionally.
Thank you very much.
So my
I
book-
use ellipses
yes,
all the time, and I get chewed out about it.
They changed all of my ellipses to commas and semicolons. The professional lockpicking book with ellipses in it is my first book, and then Keys to the Kingdom is my second.
Yes. Now, my daughter asked
Yes.
me.
Who is adorably cool, by the
Thank
way.
you. Thank
I
you.
got to meet her tonight.
I agree with that. She says, "Is his name really deviant? Because that's not a very nice word."
Well, that's the thing, right? To deviate doesn't mean to be bad. It just
Yes.
means to turn out of the normal course.
So then she said, "Does he own Deviant Art?" That
I
was her
don't.
next statement. To
Yeah,
me.
I
And
don't,
said,
unfortunately.
No, and I said, "No, he does not. That I know of, but I will
I
ask
own
him."
deviating.net. If you want any of all my slides and talks and everything are up there for free. Everything about locks and guns and various cocktails and
Well, besides that, she found you quite fascinating. I took her through the body language and microexpression
Mhm.
training. So she is very good at judging people if they're safe or not. So she warmed up to you. Like within seconds, she was
Oh.
showing you all of her art and stuff. So that was kind of cool.
I think she's great, man.
Yeah,
I dig
that's
kids and yours especially.
Yeah, thanks, man. Okay, so we got 2 books from you.
Yeah.
Those are the ones we'll recommend on the podcast. Both on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we'll add links to those.
Right on. And our training is tomorrow. They can't come to this training.
No.
They can
But
come
if they want to
future-
know about your future training, what site do they go to find out about this amazing training?
Yeah, the core group is enterthecore.net.
Okay.
And
And that's important, guys, because we will be reporting on how great this training went for us and our crew. Enterthecore.net. Do you care about people following you on Twitter?
If they want to.
So what is your Twitter?
I say a lot of things I couldn't say on this PG-13 show. On
Yes,
Twitter.
thank you.
Deviant Olaf, all one word on Twitter. If you can figure out how to spell it, you can follow me. Or my company is smarter. If you want to just find out about jobs and training, TCGSec, the core group is.
I was going to
TCGSec.
spell it for you, but now I'm glad you said that. If they figure out how to spell it.
People have to rise to the occasion. People
Yes.
have to put in the effort.
I agree.
You know what?
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. So let me see. You got Twitter is Human Hacker, or we have SOC Engineer Inc. Our website's www.social-engineer.com and social-engineer.org. Don't forget to check out the DEF CON stuff, guys, on the .org site. Please sign up for those things because we had a lot of people emailing questions. Sign up. You have a great chance of being chosen. This just keeps growing every year. If you're on IRC, check us out on irc.freenode.net on channel social-engineer.
That's it.
Okay, until next time, see you.
chains. Can't seem to recall any given name. I see the footprints, how they come, how they go. Was that only a moment, or many years ago? My heart is gone,